Jai Hind to all. My name is Pradeep Kumar Tripathi, Assistant Professor IT Department, AKGEC Ghaziabad. Today we can continue the lecture of Python programming KNC 402. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the basic of Python programming. Now we will discuss the concept of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is basically based on the object and class concept. So we can start from the basic, that is class and object. This is a OOPS concept that is used in the class and object. In the class, we can know the set of objects that is related to the real world entities like house, pencils and books. These are the object is related to real world entities, suppose books, house, pencil, etc. Class, object, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction and encapsulation. So we can discuss some. Firstly, class. What is class? Class is a collection of objects. That is, almost everything in a Python is an object with its properties and methods. Class is basically an object constructor or a blueprint for the creating the objects, or you can say a class is a virtual entity and can be seen as a blueprint of an object. The class came into the existence when it is initiated. Initiated means that we can assign some particular value to the object, that is called class. A class can have the fields, method and constructor. A class is basically prototype of a building. Suppose a building contains the floors, rooms and doors and windows. So we can make the building as we want. Now, hence the building can be seen as a class and we can create so many objects of the class. In the basic architecture of the class, we can see in the Python, we can create by using the keyword class, and in the class, we can specify with the name of class and class name. Suppose we can create a class of employee. So we can create the employee class, particular field. One field is employee ID, another field is name. So we can also use a function of display that we can use in this particular class. You can start from class keyword, and after that we can put the name of particular class. This class name is employee, and we can put the ID value is 10, and we can put the name equal to Amit. That is a value of that particular field name. And we can also define a function, we can use the define keyword def. Def keyword is used for the function definition. And def, display and self. Self is denoted to that particular class. And we can print for self.id and self.name. What is the output of that particular class? This class can give the output of id is equal to 10 and name is equal to Amit. That means an employee that working in the organization, that name is Amit and id is 10. So like this, we can create the class and object concept. What is self in this particular example? Why we use self? We can use another type of variables, but in the self is used for the reference variable which refers to the current class. It is always the first argument in the function definition. Using self is optional in the function call. You can use, or you can directly use by the class name. The self parameter is the current instance of the class and access the class variable. We can we can use anything instead of self, but it must be first parameter of the any function that belongs to that particular class. In the real world meaning, we can say what is object. Object is a real world entity that belongs to that particular class. Suppose chair, car, pencil, mobile, laptop, etc. That is called object of a particular class. For creating a class, we can use as we know in this particular example, we can use the employee, an ID, and Amit. We are already seen in the previous example. We can create the class of employee. Suppose we can use the class employee name. This is called the function of employee. We can use the first class output is ID is 10 and name is Amit. Now we can use another example of that particular next class. Suppose we have a class of person, and we can define a function that is name is init, that is initialization of the function. Self is a parameter that denoted to that particular class person, and we can use the name and age, that is the field of that particular class. Suppose a person, we can use two type of parameter. One is name and another is age. We can create the class by using the class keyword, and also we can use the particular field. One is name and another is age. We can use the name for particular, we can put by creating the object of that particular class. Here is a class name person, and we can create the object of that particular class is P1. P1 is equal to person and John and 36. What is John? John is the particular field value and 36 is the particular field value. What is the field name? John is the belongs to the name and 36 is belongs to the age. So we can easily print by creating the object of that particular class. We have a person class and we can create the person object, that is P1, and when we got the print, then we can use the P1.name and P1.age that gives the value of that particular field. We can use two fields in this particular class. One is name, another is age. When we executed this particular instruction, this will give the name, that is John, and this will give the value of 36, that is the value of age. When we can create the object and we can also delete the object. When my work is finished, then we can maybe we can use the delete object. When we can delete the object by using the del keyword, del. Del denotes for the delete. We can take the example of same. What is that is example? That is a class person and definition initialization. MySil objects we can create, and we can create the name and age, and we can put the value of this. MySil object dot name is good name. We can pass the name field into this, and we can pass the age into this, and we can use the function name my function abc hello my name plus abc dot name. ABC, that is the passing the value into the function, and that function value will combine with the name. So we can use P1 is the object of that person class. We can create person. We can put the name of John and 36 into that particular field, and we can also call the my function value. And P1.age is equal to 40. Del P1.age. After printing the P1 age, we can destroy that particular object. So for the deleting the object, we can use the keyword del. That is this much. So easily we can delete the object. When my work is finished, then we can use the del keyword for particular object deletion. We can use in Python. Now we can come to the main topic, that is Python inheritance. we have discussed about the object-oriented programming. In the object-oriented programming, we can concept of class and we can read of concept of object. After the class and object, we can discuss about the Python inheritance, because inheritance is the property that belongs to the object-oriented programming in any languages. In Python, we can also use the inheritance property. Inheritance is a basically property of object-oriented programming. It is the main property of the object-oriented programming. What is inheritance and how we can use in Python, we can discuss in this lecture. So we can start from the inheritance. What is inheritance? Inheritance provides the code reusability. What do you mean by code reusability? Code reusability means we can use a code more than one time. Suppose we can create a one function. Suppose we can create a one code for a particular problem. Then we can we can use in future. We can use in future many times. So inheritance gives the code reusability property that we use in future when we required. So inheritance can be done by the creating the child class and parent class. We can give the concept of parent class and child class. What is child class? Child class can be inherited by the main parent class. We can create a parent class. After that, we can inherit the property of that particular parent class to the child class. How it is done, we can see in this example. And what is the basic syntax of that particular inheritance? That is the class derived. This is the base class. We can create a base class, and after the base class, we can define the multiple fields, and we can define all the syntaxes that required in that particular class. After that, if you want to inherit that particular class, we can create inheritance properties. Suppose this is a class person definition, that is an initialization function that is used in self, first name, last name. This is a simple class that we have created already known, and the definition print name self dot first name, self dot last name. Use person class to create an object and then executed print name method. This is a class, and this is a keyword use, that is pass. And when we inherited that particular class, then we can use the parent class concept and child class concept. We can also discuss in the next example to the how it is implemented by the class and object concept. Now inheritance can be done by the many ways, but multi-level inheritance is most important in the particular inheritance. What is multi-level? One is multiple and one is multi-level. Multi-level means we can inherit the property from one class to another class, and after the class 1, this is the class 1 and this is class 2, we can inherit the property from first to second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to 5, and up to n. This is multi-level inheritance. In the multi-level inheritance, we can describe the concept of one class property inherited to the another class, and after that inherited, we can inherit the class second to third, fourth and fifth. This is called multi-level inheritance. Like this is a basic syntax of multi-level concept. We can use the class 1, class 2, class second up to class n. Suppose example of this can be used by the multi-level inheritance. Suppose we can use class animal. Definition speak self and print animal speaking. This is the base class. we can create base class. And the child class dog inherit the base class animal. We can inherit the property of animal class into the dog class. We can create a one child class, that is dog, and we can inherit the base class property into this. So we can put in the class name, base class name into the bracket. So it can be done by the, we can inherit the property of animal class into the dog class. Dog is the child class. Which child class? Animal base class. The child class dog inherit the property of base class animal. And we can also define a function of base class, that is definition bar self. This is the function of child class. Right. Now, when we require, we can also done by the, suppose we want a new class that is inherited from animal to dog and dog to another class. Suppose multi-level inheritance when we used. So we can create another class, that is dog child, that is inherited from this particular dog class, that is also inherited from the animal class. So more than one class we can inherit the property, that is called multi-level inheritance, we can done. So inheritance concept is clear, and multi-level inheritance concept is also clear from that particular example. And we can create the function of eat. This function is belongs to this particular child class. And after the creating the classes, that is a base class, child 2 class, right? We can create the object of D is equal to dog child, that is the function of dog child. That means it is the child 2 class function that is created from that. And D dot bark, that is the function belongs to the second class. Suppose we have a class first, this is a class second. So this function belongs to class second and this function belongs to class first. And what about D dot speak? That is the function of base class. And what is the function of D? That is 2. So we can create one object and we can access that particular object to base class, child 1 class, child 2 class and child 3 class if we have created the child 3 or 2 classes, right? So this is the concept of multi-level inheritance. What is multiple inheritance? When we talk about the multiple inheritance, we can create the child class more than the one base class. In previous example, we can use one base class and after that one base class, we can inherit from one base class to one child class. After that the one child class, we can create child 2 class. After child 2 class, we can create child 3, child 4 up to n. But in the multiple inheritance, one child class is created from the more than one base classes. Like this example, suppose base class 1, base class 2 and base class 3 up to n. We can inherit the property into the child class. This is derived or child class, whatever else you have defined, then this is called child class. Child class is inherited from base 1, base 2, base 3, base 2, 4 up to n. We can create from that particular classes. This is called multiple inheritance. We can done by this method, right? How it is created? It is the basic syntax of the multiple inheritance. Suppose syntax class base 1, class base 2, class base up to n. And we can derived class, either child class, we can pass on base 1, base 2 up to base n. This is the particular syntax of multiple inheritance. How it is can be done? This can be done by this example we can shown in the picture, like class 1 is calculated from the calculation 1 and definition function is created by self ABC, that is a parameter of this, and return ABC. and one more base class is created from calculation 2, that is the multiplication class. Suppose self and AB, we can pass on the parameters and return A into B. That is the two class we have created, class 1 and class 2. One is summation, sum class, and another is multiplication class we have created. These two classes are what class? That is a base class, base 1 and base 2. After that, we can create a child class that can be inherited from the base 1 and base 2. Suppose, what is the name of child class? That is derived. We can create that particular derived class from base 1 class and base 2 class. And after that, we can use a function named definition divide self A and B. This is the particular method of that particular child class, and we can return a statement, return A divided by B, and we can create the object. We can create D is equal to derived object. This is the object, and we can create the child class object, and we can access that particular child class to all the classes. What do you mean by all the classes? That means we can create only the object of child class and access all these classes. D dot summation, that is the method of base 1 class. Multiplication, that is also the method of base 2 class, and this is the method of child class. Child. This is base 1. This is base 2. And we can create the object of that particular class, child class, and after creating the object of child class, we can access that particular object to all the base classes as well as child classes. Here we can show D dot summation, D dot multiplication, and D dot divide. We can access all these classes and of child classes also. So this is the example of multiple inheritance. How can be done? This can be the example of multiple inheritance. In the concept of subclass and superclass, basically inheritance, single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance. So we can discuss about only the multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance. That is the complex topic of inheritance. Single inheritance means one base class is created, and after that one base class is created, we can create the object of that, we can inherit the one child class, and we can create the child class object, and we can access that particular child class to the all base classes. That's why I do not discuss with the single inheritance. We can start from the multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance. That is the most important topic of the inheritance. Now the concept of superclass and subclass, how we can access, how we can relate the superclass and subclasses, and how we can return the statement from this particular keyword. The keyword is sub and super method. The sub and super method is used to check the relationship between the classes. It returns the true when first class is the subclass of second class, or false otherwise. Suppose one class is created, and the one class is created, and second class is the subclass of first. Either subclass is either the first class is the subclass of second class. So how we can use this super and subclass concept in the field of OOPS concept? We can create the class calculation 1. We can create the function of definition summation like this, and we can create the class 2 and definition function multiplication this, and return statement is this. Class derived, we can create calculation 1 and 2. Definition, we can create the divide function by using sub and class. And in the subclass and superclass concept in this particular line, print is subclass derived calculation 2. Either print is subclass calculation 1 and calculation 2, what is the output of this particular program? First statement is true. Why? Why it is true and why it is false? In the first program, we can check the derived class is a subclass of calculation 2. Suppose calculation 2 is multiplication, and derived class, which is a derived class is the calculation 1. We can inherit the calculation 1 and calculation 2. The derived class is made up of calculation 1 and 2 also. So it is true because derived class can be inherited. Suppose derived 1 and derived 2, and we can use the class of calculation 1 and calculation 2, suppose this one, and we can derive that particular class this. This is the concept of inheritance. If we can check the is subclass derived from calculation 2, it is true. If we can use derived calculation 1, it is also true. But when we talk about C1 and C2, that means calculation 1 and 2. Calculation 1 and 2 is not a derived class of each other. So this statement will give the false statement. But if we talk about the first statement, that is true. This is the concept of subclass and superclass method. When we talk about what is the base class and child class, how we can check the child class is created or not, then we can use this particular concept of subclass and superclass. This is the instance object and class method. If we can check about the relationship between object and classes, suppose we can create the object but we cannot understand how we can create the object, then we can use the particular concept of instance. Suppose we can use the example of calculation 1, we can create the class calculation 1 and we can define the function name is definition summation self abc, return a plus b, and the class calculation 2 we can define the multiplication method that can be done by the using definition keyword and multiplication self abc, return a into b, and we can create the derived class derived calculation 1 and 2, and after that particular class can be inherited from these two classes, then we can create this particular method and this can be done by the output 2. So this is the whole concept of the object oriented programming, and now we can discuss in the next lecture of the object oriented programming. We can discuss in next lecture. Thank you.